Hi, my research project was on the ideological impact of the encampment at Valley Forge on the soldiers in the Continental Army and on the ways that it impacted the formation of some of the key elements of an American identity. When I began my research, I was expecting to find that a lot of those key ideologies, things like Republican virtue, a love of liberty, that these things were somehow developed in the intense deprivation and hardship and strict discipline and training that the men experienced at Valley Forge. My research involved a lot of primary source reading, journals, letters, plus a lot of different interpretations of Valley Forge. And the more I looked at primary source material, the more I came to the conclusion that a lot of the ideologies did exist very strongly in the beginning, but in a very nascent form. And the deprivation and discipline that they experienced did have an effect of firming their will, of weeding out those who were to desert and could not handle this situation. And the training under von Steuben specifically had a huge effect on bringing a lot of that into maturity. The men were already very resilient before Valley Forge. They were already very firmly committed to liberty and to the person of Washington himself. And they had already been seen in many battles to be resilient, to stand firm, but they were not a well-trained army. And a lot of the more unified fighting force had already dispersed. A lot of the men who were there were the men who had no other option in life. Those who could afford to pay someone to fight in their stead, or who had families to protect, often would have already deserted and sent someone else as a substitute. So these were very young men. They were very poor men. A lot of them were very uncouth, considered more the dregs of society by the locals, which was part of the reason why the locals were very hesitant to help them, which made their situation that much worse. But under Steuben, they learned military discipline. They learned how to not break ranks, but they also were given the opportunity to develop some of these feelings into a stronger form. And it's also an amazing lens to see the way that their identity was mirrored in the way that they interacted with Steuben. He commented that European troops they were used to a hierarchical system. You tell them what to do, they do it. They understand that they need to obey someone who's in a role above them because that person is above them, they are below, and that's just the way the world works. But American soldiers did not think that way. They did not consider anyone else to just automatically have that authority over them. And he said that when they were told to do something, he had to explain why. He had to give them reasoning. He had to help them to understand the motivations behind it, and then they would do it. They needed to maintain that autonomy, which shows a strong, distinct American identity even this early on in the conflict. This research has been fascinating. It has been very time-consuming, but I have thoroughly enjoyed it, and I feel that I have come out of it not only with a much stronger understanding of the identity of the common soldiers during the Revolution, but I also feel that there's so much more research I would like to do. I could have spent 6 months on this project, and so I probably will be continuing some branches off of it in the future. Thank you.